This video is sponsored by DoubleCoin. Visit doublecointires.com for more information.
All right, that was the last delivery for the day. Time to head on home. Oh, getting a call. It's my boss's boss. Hello? What do you mean stolen? We just dropped it off. What do you mean the cargo's all gone? No, it's good. Yeah, it's the right business. It says right here. IB Thieving Cargo and Freight. Yeah, they even have a website. We checked it out. It's all good. Okay, sir, sorry. Yeah, we'll get it sorted out. Whew. He is not happy. We're gonna need an expert because cargo theft is getting a lot more sophisticated than it used to be. We want to welcome in Ilan Gluck, the general manager of GearTrack by Cognosos. So, Ilan, have you seen cargo theft tactics evolve recently? Particularly, we've seen some action in impersonation and rerouting schemes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the evolution can be summarized as moving from opportunistic theft to highly organized, kind of strategic crime rings that are becoming more and more sophisticated over time. And I think, exactly as you mentioned, kind of the rise of impersonation or fraudulent carrier schemes has been a big issue recently, and I think has led to the theft of full trailers. When someone is impersonating a carrier, they just end up going and driving off with full trailers. So I think, broadly speaking, things are becoming a lot more organized and strategic, especially with kind of the wave of AI technology. While there are a lot of tools that can help protect against cargo theft, well, the thieves also have access to their own AI tools that are making things like impersonation and fraud even harder to detect. And so I think as we see technology evolve and the rapid pace of AI being deployed into the market, it's more important than ever to just be wary and have kind of your spidey sense out there, and just understand that the crime rings are becoming more and more strategic.
So I think we all know at this point, if you see something, say something, suspicious activity should be reported. But how can fleets train drivers and staff to recognize and respond to these more sophisticated cargo theft attempts?
Yeah, I think it really starts with a mindset shift where, we really encourage fleet managers should treat their routing almost as a risk mitigation exercise. So moving from just logistics optimization, moving things from point A to point B, how do I do that as quickly as possible for as little money as possible? We really need to start shifting to how do I mitigate risk along that supply chain. And so I think the first thing is really gathering all the data to understand not only what are your most commonly traveled routes, but where are the highest risk within these routes. So I think avoiding known high risk zones, especially overnight or in holiday seasons when things are particularly vulnerable, I think is kind of step one. Know your routes, know your high risk zones, avoid those when things are vulnerable. Start building kind of dynamic routing systems that allow you when risk levels change, that allow you to dynamically shift your routes almost in real time to avoid theft risk, and really create issue alerts that allow you to speak directly or communicate directly with your drivers to notify them of potential issue along the route, notify them that they need to reroute almost in real time. So I think the main thing, just if I would summarize, how do we change kind of how we plan routes? Understand your risk and then build the systems to dynamically change your routes to take that risk into account.
Sure. Yeah, it's seriously being able to consider this is a real concern. It's not we need to go this way because it's the fastest. Obviously, no one likes to spend extra time on the road, but your delivery is only good if it gets there.
Yep, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Theft of electronics and household goods seem to be rising in popularity. What steps can fleets take to protect their high-value cargo from the organized theft rings that are popping up?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, electronic and household goods, they're always a top target. They're super high value. They're easy to get from point A to point B, and they change hands a lot. So they're always going to be kind of um, the highest value targets, and therefore we need to invest in protecting them as they move along the supply chain. And you really need to think about a layered defense approach. Okay, like in football, you have the line, the linebackers, defensive backs. You have layers of defense. We need to think the same way about protecting our highest value goods along the supply chain. So, starting out, we really need to move from GPS on the trailer, kind of trailer level tracking via GPS, which is very common today, to asset level tracking. So track at the package level, at the pallet level, within each box, even if the goods are valuable enough. So moving from I want to know where the trailer is to I want to know where every single asset is on the trailer, and the cost of IoT is such that you can now deploy at the asset level. We need to start thinking about things like tamper detection. Okay, is a box opened when it shouldn't be opened, or where it shouldn't be opened? Is a package dropped, and do I need to now file a claim against whoever might have dropped that? Door sensors. Was the door opened in a trailer where I wouldn't expect it to be opened? Partnering with monitoring sensors that are available 24/7, so when you do receive an alert, you can take action immediately. And so I think kind of as the theft rings have become more advanced in how they're thinking about cargo theft, we need to follow suit. And rather than just saying, "Hey, I'm going to have GPS on the driver's phone," we now need to take a multi-layered approach to how we protect goods as they move across the supply chain. And the good news is the technology is there. The technology has evolved both from a capability and a cost standpoint where it makes sense to start deploying these technologies throughout your supply chain.
Technology is one side of it, policy is another. So what role do policy changes, either federal or regional, things like the Household Goods Shipping Consumer Protection Act, play in improving fleet safety for those crews that are actually out on the ground?
Yeah, look, you have to have both. There has to be enforcement, right? So when we catch somebody, or when we catch a bad actor, that bad actor has to know that there are going to be consequences for their actions. And really, what we see going on right now, kind of with everything with the FMCSA, basically, we're giving teeth to these regulations that are already in place, but that have a lot of loopholes that are currently being exploited. And so that Household Goods Consumer Protection Act, it just needs to be beefed up a little bit and make sure that when something happens, that there are consequences for those criminals. So enhancing broker verification to get rid of kind of fraudulent middlemen, fraudulent brokers, double brokering, is a critical piece. So I think it's really taking regulation that was in place and actually giving the government teeth to enforce it, the consequences on the criminals.
This kind of stems from that a little different direction, but what systems are in place to help fleets work with law enforcement after a cargo theft is detected? And are they helping in recovery success rates?
I think we're getting a lot better. Successful recovery hinges on the timeliness and the thoroughness of the information about a theft, right? So you need to identify quickly, hey, there's a possible theft happening, and then you need to start recording the data to provide to law enforcement so they can go and recover the stolen cargo. And so I think on the timeliness standpoint, it's critical for any system you have in place. And GearTrack, we're very, very focused on this. Have timely anomaly detection. So understand, when is a truck veering off of route? When are we recognizing anomalies in the movements of packages, the movements of pallets? Studying the data en masse to understand, hey, we think something might be going on right now, and then enhance the level of tracking when you think that there's an incident ongoing. Mm-hmm. And so I think identifying those anomalies is step one. I think creating automated kind of incident reports from your asset tracking system like GearTrack is critical. So when we do recognize an incident, being able to kind of with one click generate an incident report that you can then provide to law enforcement just makes law enforcement's job a lot easier. I mentioned kind of these 24/7 emergency response groups that ease the engagement with law enforcement. We have a partnership with CargoNet, who's really the leader in that space. They maintain a database of all national kind of cargo theft, and they help coordinate with law enforcement. So it's critical to have a partnership with a company like CargoNet, and then making sure that all of these systems kind of work together: the anomaly detection, the incident report, the relationship with the response center. All of those systems working together, and I think you have a pretty good defense.
It may be easy to assume that this would play out like the movies. Like, trucking is a very still physical operation, so you think someone's going to pull up, they've got a bunch of goons with guns that are going to take everything, but this is far more nuanced. We're in the digital age, we're in the technology age, so this is like catching a phishing email. Everything has to be perfect on their end, and you have to be able to sort through everything. So with this difficult process to make sure everything is perfect before you sign off on it, do you have any words for our viewers about keeping their cargo safe?
I think it has to be a priority. It has to be something that rises to the level of the way we always think about just-in-time logistics, or getting things from point A to point B, pulling costs out of our supply chains. We need to start thinking about our route planning as risk mitigation. In the minute it rises to a priority, there are the tools available to combat very sophisticated criminals. The level of tools available, like GearTrack, for example, and the tools that CargoNet is providing, are just as sophisticated, if not more sophisticated, than the criminals. So step one is identify it as a priority. Step two is start tapping into a lot of these tools that can help you rest easy when you're shipping $1 million, $2 million plus of cargo in a single shipment. And hopefully, preventing cargo theft rises to the top of your list of priorities before something happens. That would be my words of wisdom: is let's make it a priority before you're forced to make it a priority.
Sure. Proper planning. All right.
Yeah.
Ilan Gluck,
exactly.
Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us today.